Coming to you live from the shadow of the big house, it's IT4U. Tips and tricks on ITS tools, products, services, and more with your host, Gene Mackey.
Welcome to IT4U. I'm Gene Mackey, your host. These are live webinars brought to you by ITS. And if you're having any trouble with audio or video during the live webinar, let us know in the chat pod. If it's not on our end, we can offer some tips. And if you're watching the YouTube recording of this, you can see the description field. We'll have a Google Doc in there with some live links. If you do need an accommodation to participate in one of our live episodes, just give us a little bit of a heads up. And what's coming up in response to your request, because we had, 300 people sign up for the basic thing on business objects we did a month or two ago. So you're like, we want to learn about specific data. So Tracy Buckner twisted her arm, and she's agreed, she's with UHR, to do a thing on human resource data sets. And what we got today is Bill LaCroix, who's here at ITS. I've been trying to twist his arm, and part of the pitch was I'm like, Bill, we're just going to do a Q&A. And so I sent out a survey to the 80 folks who signed up for this, but I only got 6 or 7 questions. So it didn't quite work out the way we're hoping, but we'll keep trying it. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
Yes, good morning, and thanks for joining us. As Gene mentioned, we only got about a half dozen questions or so, and a couple of those didn't even apply to the financials data set. It was they were payroll related. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to take the statement of activity by project grant report that's in the UM Maintain folder. This is pulling from the FN01 revenue and expense universe, and that report is currently structured to only pull data for a single month, and I'm going to show you how to modify it to instead run by a given date range, and this will allow you to pull data for multiple months. And because our financial accounting is so fiscal year related, it's obviously going to work best if you confine your date range to the same fiscal year. And then we also had one survey request about using graphs and charts in a business object report, and so we're going to insert a pie chart in this SOA report. Okay, so here I have the SOA by project grant report open, and I've run it for a project grant that is pulling from a number of different accounts and account groups, and just to show the variety of data, and that was useful because it will make will allow our pie chart to be more colorful.
That's pretty important, right?
Yes, that's very important. Okay, so we're going to go into query edit mode, and the first query is PG info, and as you can see, this Adam is the video for my desktop coming up. Mm-hmm. Good. The first query, we don't need to modify anything there because that's just getting the project grant as input. So for the activity query, this is pulling by fiscal year and accounting period, and so I'm going to look at the SQL that is generated by the query to show you how to see where it is pulling the fiscal year and accounting period data from. And as you can see right here, it's pulling from the journal header table. So that's where we want to pull our journal date range from. So we're going to grab the journal date and going to use a range. Change these inputs to prompts. And I'm going to abbreviate this this prompt a little bit, and shorten it, and say enter journal date start. Enter journal date end. You can get rid of the accounting period query filter. We're going to keep fiscal year in the query filter here. And there's nothing, we don't need to modify the carry forward query because that is just pulling the carry forward amounts from accounting period 0. And for fiscal year to date, again, we want to journal date, add the journal date range. And we want this to be the same as the prompts, the prompt text that we used in the first query.
Why do we do that, Bill?
Because the prompts that appear when you run the query are text based. So if you make the text of your prompt the same in all your queries, then only one prompt comes up when you go to run it. Good question. And oh yeah, so then we'll get rid of accounting period here. Oh, shoot. That was for some, that's on the carry forward query. Okay. I thought I was on the fiscal year to date query. Oh no, wait a minute, I am. Why is this showing? Sorry, folks, I got a little confused here. Okay, I'm going to back out and start over again because I think something got screwed up.
Do we have any questions so far?
Sorry about that.
Okay, that happens.
Is everybody else is excited for our basketball team being in the Final Four as I am? Pretty exciting.
If you're a sports fan.
Yeah. And if you're a sports fan, how about the hockey team is also in the Frozen Four here.
Okay, we have a question from Kristen. What's the syntax for, quote, give me results if PG is blank?
Let's table that,
Okay.
and that might be something that if we don't have time at the end to address, we can address it.
When I send out the link to the recording, we can address it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna parking lot that one.
Yep. Okay. That's what the problem was. It was just a delay in my. Okay. Okay, now for the fiscal year to date, we want the journal date to be less than or equal to the ending date that we put in. So we'll go back here to activity and copy our text for the journal end date prompt. And put it in there. Now, for the balance, the balance needs to know the accounting period of our ending date. Okay, so we're going to insert another query to be able to get that. And that'll be real simple. We're going to say journal date equal to our journal end date prompt. okay? And then we're going to use as our result objects fiscal year and accounting period. Just 1 second, Gene. From this Cal Debt P table. And we don't want to pull fiscal year and accounting period from the journal header table because that will give us a bunch of different result objects, and pulling it from the other calendar table will only get one value for the journal end date. Yes, Gene.
Why are we inserting a query?
Okay. We're doing that because we're going to use the accounting period result object from this query in our balance query. Because see, right now the balance is pulling is getting a balance for a fiscal year and accounting period, and I'm doing this to closely mimic current functionality, okay? And because we're going to be removing the prompt for an accounting period, and instead we're using a calendar date or 2 calendar dates. I'm using this query, and I'm going to rename it real quickly here, and we're going to call it ending accounting period. So the ending accounting period query is going to get the journal date that we enter and going to return the fiscal year and accounting period that corresponds to that date. And then we're going to use this in this query. So here we're going to change this accounting period query filter to be a result from another object.
Oh, we're getting fancy here.
Okay. Now, our result object is under the ending accounting period query, but as you can see, these other queries, I can open them and see and see the result objects in them. I can't see that in the accounting period query. That's because we have to run the accounting period query first in order to be able to see the result objects. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to run this. Okay, we'll just run this one first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run when we run all of the queries. I'm going to run it by January and February of this year, or run it for January and February this year. And not sure why this takes so long to run here. Okay, and we just want to include result objects without generating a table. So that kicks us back out into our report mode. So go back into edit here. And now when we go to our balance query, and select result from another object, now we can see accounting period from the ending AP query. Okay, and okay, so like I said, we'll run this just to get a couple of months of data. We'll run it for January through February. Okay. Now, when making changes like this, it's always a good idea to compare the results with something. In this case, I would recommend, say, running it for just 1 month and then comparing the data, comparing all the amounts that come back, match, say, the initial version of the report where you would just run it for accounting period for January. That would be accounting period 7. We're not going to do that now. I've already done that. But it's just the point is it's always a good idea to be validating the results that are being returned in your business object queries. Let's see here. Okay. Something else just want to show you real quickly. This report is already structured to be run for multiple queries. I'm sorry, multiple project grants. And it's already sectioned on project grants, and let me show you how you can see that. If you click over on the left here on the document structure and filters icon and open actually either of these report tabs, right here you can see after the page header, you can see section project grant. And so everything that appears here on the page falls under the section. And so we can run this. Actually, I'll do this later because adding another project grant will mess up our pie chart later. Yes, Jean.
Kristen says, is it possible to freeze section order? I think you can customize the sort on sections.
I think so also. I think so, but again, I'm not sure. If we can want to table that one also.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 for 2, Kristen.
Okay. what else was I going to do here? Oh, so I want to remind you to save your data occasionally, okay? And so we're going to save our work so far. Okay, so now let's insert a simple pie chart in this report. So we're going to add a report. And first, we're going to create a table for the data, so we can see the data, and then our pie chart will give us a percentage picture of the data. So we're going to. So this is going to be a chart that is going to show expenses according to account groups. So I'm going to use the merged account group Desker object because I'm going to show expense amounts for both the period for the date range that we specified, but then also for fiscal year to date. And getting ahead of myself here. So account group, and then we're gonna pull the sum of dollar amount object from the activity query. That's pulling the financial activity for our specified period, and then sum of dollar amount from the fiscal year to date query. And I'm just going to change this to something that'll be able to show our data nicely. And then we'll format the account group description column to say auto fit width, so it'll display everything there. Now, we want to put some totals here. So we'll can I move this this video window? How do I do that?
Grab it and move it out of the way.
Yep. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. Now, as you can see, these are summing to 0 because this account groups is pulling both revenue and expense. We want to include only expense. So we're going to put a filter on this entire report page. To say only expense account type. Okay, and so now we have only our expenses showing here. And let's see here. Okay, let's gonna change these real quick to say something useful like expenses for specified date range, and then we'll, we will set this to wrap in that cell. Okay, so this is our basic data that we're going to put in our pie chart. And so to the pie chart, so the charts and graphs are under report element. And here's the chart tab. We're going to just put a basic pie chart in here, and we're gonna put 2 pie charts in the report. One for the date range, the whatever months we're running the report for, and then another one for the fiscal year to date data. So in the main area of the pie chart, we're going to use account group. So we want to use grab the account group description from the activity query, slap that in there, and then the financial data that this is going to be distributing in the pie chart will be our sum of dollar amount from the activity query. And this we drag up here.
Oh.
Okay, all right. And now, so you see this account group DES ... here that shows you that we need to stretch this this display a little bit. So I'll just drag this over a little bit and see if that comes out right. Okay. I'm gonna stretch this down a little bit too. Okay. Okay, there was something else I was going to do here. Oh, okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and change the name of this report tab to account group expense chart. Okay, so now we want to put a put some sort of title or caption in this for this chart. So I'm just moving my query or moving my cursor along the edge of this to get the outline for the chart. Right clicking, and I click Format Chart, and so you just got to kind of click around in these various options here to find what you might want to edit. And when I just started playing around with this late yesterday, I had to kind of flounder around a little bit to figure out what I needed to edit. But this right here is what we want. And then we click the visible option here and click OK. And you see our title appear here. Now, if I click up here, right click, and again click Format Chart, it automatically pulls me down to another set of fields, and I just want to center that text in there. And then we're going to go back here under global, and what else did they're going to show you? Oh, we just want to put a border on this chart. Just show you how to do that. Okay, so there we have a chart showing a visual presentation here of expenses according to account group. Let's put another. How are we doing for time?
We got about 3 minutes.
Okay. We're gonna slap another chart in here. For fiscal year-to-date expenses. And here we're going to grab account group description from the fiscal year-to-date query. And sum of dollar amount from the fiscal year-to-date query. And stretch this to show everything. And put a title in this. And put a border on it. Center it.
Got 1 minute.
And so we have our table showing our expenses for the date range and fiscal year to date, and a couple of pie charts. And so I think you say we're just about out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for your time. We're going to have the poll, link to the polls in the chat pod there. And we'll send a link to the captioned recording within a week, and we'll send some other resources and those parking lot questions.